What's up, nerds? It's your boy, the OGGM, coming to you live and large from Site B at 10 o'clock in the morning on the 13th day of 2023. And today we have been dared, we have been challenged. The gauntlet has been thrown by my good friend over at Divirsty and Dragons, Double D. 5 good things about 5th edition. Because he's doing one about 5 reasons why he's done with the 5th edition and 5 reasons why he shouldn't play. And I could do that one too. That one's easy to do. But so he's challenged me to come up with 5 good things about 5e D&D, 5 things to keep playing. Which, of course, nobody told you to stop playing. I know that there is a small group of individuals out there who are trying to stoke the fires and turn the events of January into something far worse than they were. But at no point in time was anybody tormented or harmed over playing 5e. We were encouraging people to stop giving Wizards of the Coast money, but we also said, look, if you've already bought the books, great. Just don't buy anything else. Don't, unsubscribe from D&D Beyond. Just play the game and don't let Wizards of the Coast tell you how to play. That's, but nobody tormented you. Nobody tortured you. Nobody said you couldn't play, couldn't run, couldn't read, couldn't watch D&D. That's an out-and-out lie. So what are 5 good things about D&D? Also, what's wrong with this picture? It's right there. Yeah, it's right there. We got Strahd, we got Raceland, we got Elminster, we got Mordecai and Avenger, we got the dragon from the box set, and then we got this tiefling. I guess she's a tiefling, maybe, I don't know. And then for some reason, there's a Colonial Marine. 5 good things about 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. Number 1, advantage and disadvantage. Okay, not an original concept, not an original mechanic. Like many of the mechanics in 5e, they blatantly borrowed it from someplace else, but it's a great mechanic, and it erased a lot of issues that previous editions had with things like being knocked over, being stunned, being blinded, being under certain effects, being blessed, whatever, level loss, paralysis. That was all erased and replaced with just advantage, disadvantage. Roll 2d20 and take the best of the 2. Roll 2d20 and take the worst of the 2. So easy, so refreshing. Such a great mechanic. Definitely one of the top 5 reasons that 5e was so good. Number 2, it rewarded you for staying pure class. 5e rewarded you for staying pure class. Start at the class you started in and go all the way up to 20th level. And there was very few reasons, unless you had a very specific build in mind, to not play pure class. Between the feats and the backgrounds and the skills and the multiple subclasses and the multiple abilities available, almost every idea you could come up with could be built with one class and maybe a dip into a second class. But most of them could be built. I mean, every idea I played, with exception of one, I was able to play pure class in 5e. So it rewarded you for playing pure class. So that's reason number 2, that 5e. Reason number 3, it was simple, okay? D20 plus stuff. I know there's a lot of people that say the math in Dungeons & Dragons 5e was too hard, but no. The math was simple. The economy of actions was hard, but the math was D20 plus stuff. Simple. It was refreshing. One of the very first things I said about 5e was both how it felt like going back home in the original-ish, because it had that real old school feel to it, but also that sort of refreshing, here's a new way to look at old stuff. And it simplified a lot of things. At 4th, it overly complicated. And it really felt like Wizards of the Coast was back on track to making D&D what we loved about it. So that's, another one. Number 4. Fourth thing that made 5e so good, the 0-level spells. It finally gave Wizards something to do. Now, I would argue that some of the 0-level spells are so utterly powerful that it makes leveling up anything else kind of pointless. Though, Eldritch Blast from the Warlock, literally, why should I cast anything else in any combat situation when I have this thing at first level that I can cast unlimited amount of times? Cleric, I got Guidance that I can cast an unlimited amount of times at first level. Why bother with any other spell? Just I'm going to make a skill check, guidance. I'm going to make a saving throw, resistance. I'm going to make a skill check, guidance. I'm going to make a saving throw, resistance. I'm going to make a combat attack, fine, bless. You know, just the 0 level spells were pretty cool. Yeah. And finally, the early adventures were amazing. I mean, Mines of Feldelvin, still considered the best 5e adventure written by anybody. I mean, so good that it was dipped into 2 further times, and they're dedicating a whole campaign setting to it this year. It was a great adventure. It was a great setting. It was a great introduction to D&D. So I would say, yeah, Mines of Feldelvin, and then followed it up with Storm King's Thunder, a loving homage to one of the best D&D adventure series of all time, Against the Giants. And then, you know, Tomb of Annihilation, a loving homage to Tomb of Horrors and Isle of Dread. Dinosaur Racing. I mean, Dinosaur Racing alone makes Tomb of Annihilations a great game. So those are 5 things that make 5e cool. Number 6, let's just take all the politics away, all the bullshit and the nonsense, and just look at the mechanics of 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. It is a good, solid system filled with a lot of good ideas. Advantage and disadvantage, the mechanics of combat, the spell system, the multiple feats and stuff, the ease of play. It is a great system for anything other than Dungeons and Dragons. The 5e system is perfect for what Spelljammer should have been. And that is the campaign setting they should have set it in from day one. Or the Mines of Feldelvin campaign setting. They should not have set it in the realms. They should not have kept trying to make it backwards D&D, because it wasn't, which was fine. It is fine that 5e was not Dungeons and Dragons. It was its own thing, and it should have been embraced and explored, because the engine itself is fine. It's great. There's tons of things I think 5e works perfectly for. Spelljammer being number 1. Planescape, steampunk, low-level pulp action. I mean, if that, you know, Hawk the Slayer, which I think is one of the best D&D movies ever made, if there is a movie that encapsulates the mechanics of 5th edition, it's Hawk the Slayer. So it's a great game. It's a great system. It's just not Dungeons and Dragons. And that, I think, was, if we get to the list of 5 things wrong, that's number 1. That's number 1. There's of all the things that are wrong with 5th edition and the 5th edition mentality and the way Wizards of the Coast treated 5th edition and the way people responded to 5th edition, is 5th edition was not Dungeons and Dragons. It was Spelljammer, the role-playing game. It was Planescape, the role-playing game. It was Steampunk Eberron, the role-playing game. It was not D&D, which was fine. 5e is fine. And in closing, please stop saying crap like you were tormented and tortured for playing 5e and that you were kicked out of stores and people burnt your books and took your ability to play D&D away. And people are telling you cannot run, cannot watch, cannot play, cannot talk about Dungeons and Dragons. Who's ever spreading that is that's just an out and out lie. And it's making an already bad situation worse. So just stop. Just appreciate the hobby for what it is. If you like 5e, go out and play 5e. No one cares. We just don't want you to support Wizards of the Coast anymore because they lied to you and they don't care about you. So that's it. That's my dare. I was dared. I took the dare. Link down below to Dungeons and Diversities, or Dragons and Diversity, whatever he calls himself. Counterpoint, his thing where 5 reasons to not play 5e or leave 5th edition, which I could do that too. There's definitely 5, bare minimum 5 things I could come up with that are reasons not to play D&D 5th edition. But I was dared to come up with 5 reasons to play 5th edition, plus 1 extra, and there you go, 5 reasons. I think 5e is a great system. It's just not D&D. And there's a lot of good ideas in 5th edition. There are a lot of good ideas in 4th edition. There are a lot of good ideas in 3rd edition. Every edition has had good and bad ideas. You take and choose the stuff you like. You toss away the stuff you don't like. You play your game. That's what Gary always wanted. Gary did not want what Wizards of the Coast is doing. Gary wanted you, and I quote, to play the game your way. Play lots of games. Explore lots of games. Enjoy lots of games. Remember, this is all about having fun with your friends. It's nothing else. So there you go. 5 reasons to play Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. Never let it be said that I will not sell out. And if you appreciate me selling out, please consider buying my merch and supporting the OGGM Adventures. Because remember, this is my job and I need me that money because rent's due. Till next time, I will see you, and check out my buddy Double D's site. Link down below in the description is hit and how this dare started. I will talk to you later.